doing it on its own. It won't.
Can you do the pause with this?
Pause?
But it's still going live.
Yeah. Well, it's almost 25 after anyways, so...
Okay.
Yeah, see what it looks like on that end there. Did anything show up?
What?
On what we just did there? Our accident for 36 minutes? Yeah, it did. Oh, no. Okay, it just shows live. So it shows this. Oh, we got a viewer. All right, so what do you think? Everything look good?
Yes.
It's 22 after, so at 25 after, do you want to do that thing? Or
Okay.
yeah, with 3 minutes?
I'll be back in just a...
Okay, watch the chords.
No, we don't need to. Good afternoon. We're live today on Facebook and YouTube from the Willow Creek Venue in Lakeville for the Livingston County 40th Annual Seniorama. I'm Ben Beagle, Regional Editor of the Daily News and the Livingston County News. I'm here with Mark Gutman, our videographer. And in a few minutes, we will begin streaming the Seniorama ceremony. 21 seniors from 17 Livingston County towns will be honored today for a lifetime of service and citizenship to the county. This year's group is a special group. Last year, the ceremony had to be canceled because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So adjustments have been made this year, and the seniors will be honored as they have been 39 other times. This year's group will also be marking the bicentennial of Livingston County. Among the speakers today will be Amy Alden, the Livingston County historian, who will be talking about the bicentennial, offering some updates, and sharing how the stories of today's seniors will be a part of that county's history. Other speakers include Sue Carlock, Director of the Livingston County Office for the Aging, and Greg Olson, Director of the New York State Office for the Aging. The ceremony is scheduled to begin at about 12:30, give or take. Guests have been arriving and are currently enjoying a boxed lunch, and then the speakers and ceremony will begin. You may follow along here on Facebook and also on our YouTube channel. Our Facebook page is Livingston County News, and on YouTube, look for the LCN video.
Try one.
Okay.
Sarah's bringing you a cold water.
Oh, look at that. I even got two. Now I got three. Oh, good.
In case you have a coughing fit.
Avon through Caledonia. Canisius through.
So you got everybody that's up here.
Just give me a thumbs up so I can hit the record, and then I'll give you a thumbs up back
Okay.
to go ahead with
Okay.
it, okay?
You got it.
Sounds good.
How is the vegetarian? What is in it?
I'm holding out. I'm going to have my did, but like, if I didn't have this, it's so odd. It was an hour away. Usually it's like 9 and 11 and you're done.
Oh, they're the same place?
Two different places. Geneva and Lyons. That's all. What's your one you lose?
Did you lose?
We lost. We
Oh
should
my
have
God,
won.
Sue was telling me that Livonia had run Avon, but it was a JV. I don't know if they played it in varsity.
The varsity's had a couple losses. Oh, there's down in Ivan.
Perfect.
Got everybody's. No, I know, but
But Ron's on my advisory council.
okay, so Ron's the guy.
Ron
I
Needham.
thought that was Ron.
It's nice.
Is he doing Genesee or Rose?
He's broken. And the lady who's running for Genesee was also on my advisory council, so they know each other, and it was next door. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the very long-awaited Seniorama 2021. I think I speak for all of us when I say that we're so happy that we're finally able to hold this event. I thank you all for attending today, our esteemed honorees, our county chairman, county administrator, supervisors, and our special guests. I would like to thank Sandy Thompson, who, in the spirit of the event, was recruited to volunteer to share her talents with us and provide the music. Thank you, Sandy. I would like to thank the members of my advisory council, 3 of whom are here today, who put up with me through months and months of stops and starts and trying to figure out how best to hold this event. I would also like to thank our sponsors for the Livingston County News live stream and recording of the event, making it possible for family members, friends, neighbors, and senior club members who couldn't come to still be able to view the ceremony. Our sponsors are the Ankle and Foot Center of Western New York, Livingston County Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation, Livingston County and Livingston County New York Connects program, and Stephen M. Kelly, Esquire. This year's celebration is distinctive in so many ways. You are our COVID-19 Seniorama class. It's our 40th annual event, which was supposed to be held in 2020, but for the first time ever was canceled due to the pandemic. Many of you were nominated last year and will go down in history as 2020 and 2021 honorees. We actually envisioned having a larger event for the 40th anniversary, but are so happy that we're able to have this smaller event to finally honor many of you who have been waiting for over a year. As it stands today, with current guidance, we probably could have had a larger event. But like so many things during the pandemic, the planning was difficult and the guidelines changed as we went along. That does not overshadow the joy and the pride we feel today, and like so many situations over the past year, Livingston County residents have demonstrated caring, compassion, and amazing resilience in the face of adversity and change. You are our bicentennial honorees. The county is 200, not you. We're honored to have our county historian, Amy Alden, here with us, and she will address us shortly. Livingston County would not be the wonderful place that it is without a 200-year history of neighbors helping neighbors and volunteers making our county a better place to live and raise our families. As a group, you have done and continue to do so much for our towns and our county. In reading the biographies, food was definitely a theme, which I thought was appropriate for COVID-19 also. We have a director of school foods and nutrition, farmers who produce food, Food Link pantry and backpack volunteers, and volunteers who raise funds for food, help with chicken and biscuit fundraisers, turkey and biscuit fundraisers, and famous scones. Collectively, you are an enterprising and pioneering group. You started your own businesses and operate family farms. We have one of the first rape crisis counselors, a founding school principal, and the women's volleyball and basketball coach at SUNY Geneseo who was part of the fight for Title IX and women's athletics. You helped build churches, stores, and procured a monument. Lastly, you have done so much to support and assist children and youth, which is such a positive for our county's future. You have raised children and grandchildren, especially Birdie, with 62 children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren alone. She wins the prize. You have served as teachers, school administrators, school counselors, school board members, and foster grandparents. You have protected children from fires, knit hats and blankets for children in hospitals, and raised money for computers, books, and other items. We have coaches, umpires, club leaders, scout leaders, vacation Bible school teachers, mission trip participants, mentors, and even the former director of the County Youth Bureau for over 2 decades.
As I say, it's a delight to be among so many people who volunteer their time to make Livingston County a better place for all of us. You make up the diverse fabric of our local history, and publicly acknowledging your contributions, such as what's happening at this event today, leaves a record for future generations. You join the ranks of the volunteers, whether it was in war or peacetime, natural disasters or celebrations. The people of this county have historically sacrificed and generously donated their skills, financial resources, and vital necessities to those who were in need of a helping hand, encouragement, or a mentor. As we commemorate and celebrate 200 years since the county was formed, I'd like to take this opportunity to provide some background information. On February 23rd, 2021 was the official anniversary of the county's formation. And as part of the ceremonial program at the Government Center, I addressed the Board of Supervisors by giving them an overview of how we reached this milestone and how an excerpt from that, and so the supervisors can kind of close their eyes or ears for a minute if you want to. But I thought it was important to share with all of you. Remembering who came before us and how their contributions have led us to this moment is important. But documenting history is more than just names and dates. It's a complicated web of events and perspectives placed in historical context through which we construct a narrative to explain our past. The perspective of the Seneca Nation to present day is that the land we habit rightfully still belongs to the Haudenosaunee. The officers of Sullivan's campaign of the Revolutionary War, who were sent here to destroy the Seneca villages in 1779, were in awe of the open expanse of the valley and abundant natural resources, the likes of which they had never seen before, and many returned to settle here after the war. The early land speculators, after reading these accounts, scrambled to acquire these lands, to harness the water power, the natural resources, to promote farming and development in a place that was described as a paradise, and what turned out to be the breadbasket of a new nation. This place was also fertile ground for new thought, where non-traditional lifestyles could be cultivated, a place where those seeking religious experimentation, such as the Shakers, prospered, a place where abolitionists promoted the anti-slavery movement to advance freedom, a place where leaders of the women's rights and suffrage movement advanced their cause, a place that attracted health and wellness seekers from all over the world to the therapeutic Sulphur Springs, a place where agriculture and horse breeding expanded in leaps and bounds, a place renowned for diversity of manufacturing, a place where medical facilities and institutions of higher learning established reputations for excellence, a place of such natural beauty. It's surprising that so many individuals associated with Livingston County have not only left a lasting legacy locally, but have helped to define American history. Many names are well known, such as Mary Jemison, Jan O'Shays, Clara Barton, and Frances Bellamy. Then there are the hundreds of lesser-known names that fill the county historian's files with accomplishments as authors, artists, inventors, politicians, and volunteers, and so much more. My goal since becoming county historian has been to fill in the gaps and connect what seemed to be a somewhat disjointed historical perspective. To be able to fully understand our shared history, we must include those of the oppressed, such as Native Americans, women, immigrants, and minorities. soldiers returning from war and their families' experiences, and all those who fall between the cracks of history but have stories that we can all learn from. To be clear, this is not reinventing history. This is deepening and broadening the scope of what comprises this place and who we are. Most notably, history is defined by change. This has occurred throughout Livingston County's history and is no more apparent than the times we are living through today. Historians have compared this last year in the midst of a global pandemic and political upheaval to the Civil War, the 1812 influenza epidemic, the Great Depression, the social and political turbulent times of the Vietnam era and Watergate, and 9/11, all combined. So if you're feeling stressed, there is good reason. The toll of COVID-19 deaths nationally is now just shy of 600,000. And at last count, I saw that it ranged from 3 to 8 million globally. And as of this week, Livingston County has lost 45 people to this virus, with friends and families and communities mourning their passing. All of you understand the impact this has had on our region. In addition, now we have a deeper understanding of the challenges and heroics of essential workers and volunteers like yourselves who filled the gaps whenever needed and wherever needed. We have all experienced these extraordinary times differently, and our perspectives will be essential for future historians to contextualize. As I was reviewing your remarkable biographies this week, I was struck by common themes that seem to be traits of what comprises a notable volunteer. In addition to seemingly boundless energy and generosity, the main takeaway for me was connectiveness. Connection to people through community and involvement at all age brackets, young, old, and in between, and all types of organizations. And connection to the land. In essence, you create a sense of place. There's a wonderful quote from a book written by Robert R. Archibald entitled A Place to Remember, where he discusses using history to build community. I posted this on my bulletin board over my desk in my office and have read it over and over again and felt it was apropos for today. We all need such places just to know who we are. These are places where we have created our stories, where we find our shared memories, where we can identify our common ground. The place where we have experienced community and where we can learn to create it again. All of you have similar experiences, but each is unique. Your stories and those you interact with in your communities have various perspectives as well. History ties the past with the present, and the times we are living in today will define our history, and already has defined our history going forward. Events like this will help future generations to understand not just the notable contributions of those who are being honored today, but the community we live in. Despite the pandemic, the County Historian's Office has managed to organize several safe and family-friendly programs and events to coincide with our county bicentennial, and I'm extremely grateful to the Board of Supervisors who have always been supportive of the projects and events my office has hosted. We'll be having, we recently just had a historic marker dedication at the county courthouse. In April, there's another one coming up that's going to be placed at the site of the original poorhouse farm and county home. At the end of June, a geocaching trail in every town is launching over the 4th of July weekend. Our Genesee Country Museum in July will host tours and discounted tickets. You don't have to be a senior. You can take your whole family with you and get discounts. And tours of all the 17 buildings that comprise the majority of structures of the museum. And now that we can host gatherings, I'm hoping to have a Murray Hill Celebration Day and historic marker placed on that event too. And a classic car tour will wind through every town and village in Livingston County in August. So some things to look forward and as we commemorate and celebrate throughout the year. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all you do all year round.
Thank you, Amy, for taking the time to be with us today, and we look forward to future bicentennial celebratory events. This is my 5th Seniorama, and I still remember being so surprised and impressed the first time that every supervisor and our county administrator not only showed up on a Saturday, but seemed genuinely happy to come. Every year since has been the same. Occasionally, there have been family situations and conflicts that have kept people from attending, but if at all possible, they are here. That and the ongoing support, especially during this past year, definitely show in action the commitment of our Board of Supervisors and our administrator to our older adults in Livingston County. The county administrator, who probably needs no introduction, always reads the biographies at this event, and that is something that hasn't changed. Mr. Coyle will read the biography, and while he reads it, if the honorees could stand, and the supervisor, and then when he finishes, the supervisor or his or her designee will present the certificate of appreciation to the honoree. Please extend a warm welcome for Mr. Ian Coyle, County Administrator.
Thank you, Sue. Appreciate that. Jack this up a little bit. There we go. Just wanted to congratulate, before I begin, it's my pleasure. Every year I have the privilege and pleasure to read the 17 biographies of the honorees, and it's always a joy. I get them in advance. I told this a joke a couple years ago, so some of the longtime supervisors know this one, but I get these in advance, so I get to read them, see if I know anybody, or make sure I can pronounce the names correctly or what have you. So this goes back many years because I got teenagers now. They were probably 8 and 6, 2 boys, and they got into the biographies, and they were reading them, and I caught them in the room, and I'm like, hey, give me those back, and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to see I'm in the program and that I have a piece of the program, that I'm talking, I'm part of it, I'm important. And all they did was they grabbed it, and they looked at me, and they said, Dad, why don't you do any of this stuff? So that made me feel real good. But I wanted to recognize you for your accomplishments. You're some of the most accomplished people in this county. You're what make the county go. But you're also some of the most humble people too. And that child-kid reference. I mean, you could really give, as I said before too, you could give this, this listing of life accomplishments to kids of all ages in this county and say, this is how you build community, this is how you build a county, and this is how you do things right in life. So congratulations to all of you for your well-deserved recognition here today. So my first town is Avon. The Avon Seniorama honoree for 2021 is Dixie Carmody. Dixie, yep, we can clap now. There you go. Dixie has called Livingston County home for her entire life. She has 2 children and 2 grandchildren. She is proud of her family's military history. Her father, uncle, brother, and nephew all served in the Army, and her son in the Marines. Dixie graduated from Geneseo Central School and received an associate's degree in business from Bryant and Stratton. She held several positions, including assistant manager of a local gas station, secretary for a wine and spirits company, and certified nursing assistant for a skilled nursing facility. Dixie performed some of her most meaningful work as a volunteer at St. Agnes Catholic School and prior to that at Dansville Primary School. As a foster grandparent, Dixie provided support to nearly 100 children to assist them in their learning and development. Dixie has a lot of hobbies and skills that come in handy as a foster grandparent. She enjoys reading and many art activities, including drawing and painting. She loves to play cards and other games. Her other hobbies include the joy of camping and working in gardens. Many people do not know that Dixie played the drum and belonged to the White Sabres Drum and Bugle Corps, a marching group that competes in world events. She was a member for 12 years and is now an alumni member. Dixie was surprised and happy to be nominated for this honor and says, "I just love helping people." Presenting Dixie with her certificate of recognition is Avon Town Supervisor David Lefebvre. The town of Caledonia and the Caledonia Senior Club have selected Joan Crunden as their honoree for 2021. Joan moved from Franklin, New York to Mumford, New York in 1965 and has lived in her current residence on Feely Road in Caledonia since 1976. She has 2 sons, 4 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Her son, James and Christopher, couldn't be here today because one lives in Virginia and the other could not make the commute from Austria. Joan has an associate's degree in health and nutrition and used her education to benefit thousands of school children. She worked in food and nutrition for the Gates Chili schools from 1973 to 1980, and then for the HFL schools for 22 years, where she was director of school foods and nutrition. Joan's loves include her family, her neighbor family, gardening, cooking, reading, and movies. She's a member of the St. Columba Church, St. Martin de Porres Parish. Her volunteer efforts benefit a variety of organizations with diverse missions. She has served on the Town of Caledonia Planning Board for 18 years and the County Planning Board for 17 years. She supports the Big Springs Museum and the Caledonia Library and volunteers for Camp Good Days. The Caledonia community feels fortunate that Joan chose to make the town her home and raise her family there. Dan Pangrazio, Caledonia Town Supervisor, presents Joan with her Certificate of Appreciation. The Town of Canisius Seniorama honoree as a senior club from Canisius has chosen Anita Joy Perovich for the Seniorama Award for this year. Anita, or Joy as many people know her, started working at the Livingston County Department of Social Services in 1975 and retired in 2007 after 31 years of service. She volunteered as one of the first rape crisis counselors. She is a member of the Red Cross, the Order of the Eastern Star, Friends of Ganondagan, the Warplane Museum, the American Legion Auxiliary, and the Town of Canisius. Anita Joy served as president and junior leader of the American Legion Auxiliary, where she marched, sent packages for soldiers, and worked dinners for fundraisers and funerals. She was also town historian for the town and worked on several committees. During the course of volunteering for the Red Cross for 13 years, Anita Joy was sent to Louisiana twice and to Memphis, New Jersey, New York City, Albany, and Binghamton for hurricane and flood relief efforts. She also worked at blood drives, local fires, and shelters. She volunteered for dinners at Eastern Star and hospitality functions for the Ganondagan State Historic Site and the Warplane Museum, preparing and serving food and assisting in food preparation for the Canisius Church's turkey and biscuit dinner. Prior to the pandemic, Anita Joy had been playing guitar and singing at the Webster's Crossing Spaghetti Jam and at the Little Lake Center Jam sessions in Hemlock. She also enjoyed working with numerous people in many capacities. The town honors Anita Joy today for her generosity of spirit, recognizing her as Town Supervisor, Mr. Daryl Western. Next up, we have the town of Geneseo. The town of Geneseo is pleased to honor Joyce Wexler this year. Joyce was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, the daughter of William and Minna Wexler. She lived there and in Westchester County until moving to the beautiful town of Geneseo in the summer of 1969. Joyce received her BS in Health and Physical Education and Master's in Science Education at New York University and taught at Briar Cliff College for 6 years before coming to SUNY Geneseo. Joyce taught health and phys ed at SUNY Geneseo until her retirement in 1998. She was SUNY Geneseo's first women's basketball coach and the first volleyball coach. She coached the volleyball team for 20 years, winning the ECAC Division III title in 1986. She was a member and president of the Eastern Association for Physical Education of College Women during a time when they were instrumental in fighting for Title IX and women's athletics. This was before the NCAA took over the running of tournaments. Joyce was pleased to offer her home to Minna for 13 years after her retirement, during which she maintained a garden and her mother learned to can the produce. She was also the caretaker for her beloved sister Lois for several years. Before and since her retirement, she has been involved in several volunteer positions and has been generous with her donations. She was a Red Cross driver and CPR instructor and driver for Catholic Charities through Faith in Action. She was a volunteer at the Teresa House for 15 years and was famous for her scones at their fundraisers. She was a founding member of the Friends of Wadsworth Library and past chair and now secretary for the Interfaith Center of Geneseo, where she provided Thanksgiving dinners for students for many years. We're on page 2 here, Joyce. She's on the Office for the Aging Advisory Committee and a board member for the Geneseo Torch Club. She still resides at her home on Roots Tavern Road, which she had built in 1971. She had several horses in the past and now is the owner of a rescue dog from Kentucky, which apparently is half beagle, 1/4 boxer, and 40% devil. Hobbies in the past include playing the piano and golf, plus many trips with friends to Scotland, the Canadian Maritimes, and all over the U.S. The Geneseo Young at Heart Club and the town of Geneseo are proud to recognize Joyce today. Sue Carlock is presenting the certificate today. Next up, we have the town of Groveland. Town of Groveland is proud to present Roy and Susan Teitzworth as the Seniorama honorees for 2021. Roy and Susan have been married for 48 years. They have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. They are both native to the area, and their parents and grandparents were all Livingston County residents. Roy and Susan both grew up on family farms. As high school sweethearts, they often rode horses together, later sharing this activity with their children. They currently own and operate farms previously owned by Roy's parents and Susan's grandfather. Roy and Susan both graduated from Geneseo High School. Roy then graduated from Alfred State College, while Susan received her bachelor's degree in elementary education and completed graduate work at SUNY Geneseo. Roy's first business experience was as a teenager, training horses and selling tack. He is now a farm owner and operator and an auctioneer. He owns RTI Quality Rentals and Teitzworth Trailers. He was a member of the Groveland Town Board for 2 terms and a Groveland Assessor for 2 terms. He is also past president and member of the Board of Directors for the New York State Auctioneers Association and president of RTI Auctions, Inc. He has been involved in many building projects, including several sports fields at area schools and churches, and has donated construction equipment for these and other worthy projects. Susan was an elementary school teacher and is the founding principal of the Genesee Country Christian School. She was a 4-H club leader for over 5 years and a board member of the Cornell Cooperative Extension for a 3-year term. Susan collected food for the Geneseo Groveland Food Pantry from her church and delivered food to families in the 1980s. She continues to be involved with the pantry through the collection of food at the Genesee Country Christian School and that school's collaboration with the pantry to provide personal care products for holiday baskets. Susan has participated in mission trips to children's ministries in Haiti and South Africa. Both Roy and Susan have been actively involved in their church. Roy served as a trustee for 15 years. Susan has served as Vacation Bible School Director, Sunday School teacher, and junior church teacher for more than 20 years. Currently, she is a member of the Mission Committee. Psalm 90:17, establish thou the work of our hands, aptly describes Roy and Susan. The couple gratefully acknowledge any success they may achieve is by God's grace and has been so that they can share his blessings with others. The town of Groveland enthusiastically appreciates Roy and Susan for their generosity of spirit. Recognizing the couple today is Town Councilman Ron Niedermeyer, representing Town Supervisor Bill Carmen. Congratulations. Next up, we have the town of Leicester. The York Leicester Towners for the town of Leicester have nominated Barry F. Briffa as the Leicester Seniorama honoree for 2021. Barry has served as the mayor of Leicester since 2014. He has also held the position from 1999 through 2006. From 2019 to 2020, Barry was the president of the Livingston County Association of Mayors. Barry retired from Eastman Kodak after working over 30 years as a senior lab technician. While he worked for Kodak and after retirement, Barry worked at the town of Leicester Recycling Transfer Station for 17 years. A hardworking person, Barry was also employed by Wegmans for 20 years on the night crew right up until 2018. Barry has been involved in many volunteer capacities in and around Leicester. He was an assistant leader for the Boy Scouts. He has served as an usher, finance committee volunteer, and parish council member for St. Thomas Church, as well as helping to take care of the church grounds. He helped tend a garden for St. Mary's Church for 18 years. Barry's been a Livingston County resident for 5 decades. He married his bride, Maria, 49 years ago, and they are blessed with 2 children and 5 grandchildren. He's an Eagle Scout, and his favorite hobby is metal detecting. Barry volunteered for Make a Difference Day for 12 years, and he continues to make a difference. Barry enjoys being mayor of Leicester because he's always visible in the community. The residents of Leicester are appreciative of Barry's dedication and service. Honoring him today is town councilperson Karen Rofe. Town of Lima is pleased to recognize the Seniorama honorees for 2021 as George and Frances Gotzik. George and Fran were high school sweethearts and have been married for 52 years. They both graduated from Webster High Schools. They have lived in Lima for all but 9 of their married years. The other years they resided in Rochester, Brazil, and England, and traveled. George served in the Air National Guard as a helicopter mechanic from 1969 to 1971, and then the Army National Guard Division of Community Affairs in Webster from 1972 to 1976. George worked first as an engineer at Bausch & Lomb. The majority of his career was spent at Eastman Kodak, where financial management positions took him throughout Asia, Africa, Scandinavia, and the Middle East. After retiring from Kodak, he joined and subsequently led the Small Business Development Center at SUNY Geneseo. Subsequently, he served as an economic development consultant for the city of Geneva. Fran obtained a BS in science education from Cornell University, an MS in biology from the University of Rochester, and an MBA from the Rochester Institute of Technology. She began her career in research at the University of Rochester. After her children were in school, she became the director of programs for the Center for Environmental Information, which led to her involvement with the launch of the Genesee Valley Greenway in 1991. She subsequently became the executive director of the Friends of the Genesee Valley Greenway, and then in 2003 joined Parks and Trails New York as its director of programs and policy, where she helped communities build trails throughout New York State. After retiring in 2015, she became a senior consultant for the organization. Both George and Fran have been very active and involved in their community. George served on the Lima Village Board and chairs the Lima Planning Board, of which he has been a member since 2003. In this role, George contributed to many studies and projects, including the Comprehensive Plan, the Vision Plan, and the Gateway Study. He's an elder in the Lima Presbyterian Church and was a moderator for the Genesee Valley Presbytery. He was awarded the President's Award by the Landmark Society of Western New York, where he has been an honorary trustee from 1998 to the present. Fran has served on the Lima Town Board and volunteered for the Lima Presbyterian Church, Lima Crossroads Council, and the Landmark Society of Western New York. Among other organizations, she's currently involved with the Lima Historic Preservation Council and serves as an officer for the Friends of the Genesee Valley Greenway and the Lima Historical Society. Combining her interest in architecture and history with her love of Lima, Fran has helped nominate dozens of buildings to the Register of Historic Places, given talks, slideshows, historic house tours, and walking tours of Lima. The Lima Golden Agers and the town of Lima recognize George and Fran for their involvement in numerous initiatives contributing to the improvement, preservation, and promotion of the town of Lima. Town Supervisor Mike Falk accompanies George and Fran today. Next up, we have the Town of Livonia. Town of Livonia proudly recognizes William B. Kurtz as its Seniorama honoree for 2021. Bill was born in Cohocton, New York, and his family moved to Livonia when he was 3 years old. He married his wife Barb in 1960, and they have 5 children, 13 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Bill has had a lifelong dedication to farming. At age 6, he worked for his dad, standing on a stool to dump milk into a milk can. As a teenager, Bill milked cows before and after school. In 1960, Bill went into partnership with his dad, and in the 70s, he bought the second half of the family farm. In 1972, Agway chose Bill as the New York State Young Farmer of the Year. In the fall of 1989, Bill sold the milk herd and continued to raise heifers. He started working for the town of Livonia Highway Department while continuing to raise corn and hay. Bill continues to have great interest in farming, and in 2020, an addition to the hay barn was added. Farming is a never-ending job. Bill and Barb could not leave on their honeymoon unless he had the oats planted. The crop was planted on time, and they enjoyed a great trip to Skyline Drive, Washington, D.C., and Myrtle Beach. When Barb was ready to deliver their 5th child, Bill called friends to watch the other 4 children, drove Barb to St. Mary's Hospital, and went back to milk the cows. He received a phone call from Barb informing him that Kathleen had been born. When his kids were in primary school, Bill did hay rides and took calves over to the school for the kindergarten classes. He enjoyed helping with the animals and events at the Hemlock Fair and bringing the family home fried waffle treats. Bill had many farming friends, and the families have always been available to help each other, filling each other's silos, sharing hay wagons, and more. Bill is always available to help his neighbors, especially during snowstorms. As a young man, Bill had an interest in joining the Livonia Fire Department, but he was not yet old enough. So he joined the department the day he turned 21 and was a member for 60 years. He held all the offices and eventually became chief. He was a founding member of the Ambulance Corps and even delivered a baby. Bill was a member of St. Joseph Church as an altar boy and a member of the church choir. He was president of the Holy Name Society and always plowed the church driveway. He now attends St. Matthew Church, which was built on the land that was once part of the Kurtz farm. Bill was on the Agway board for the store in Hemlock, served many years on the Livonia School Board in the 1980s, and is currently on the Town of Livonia Assessment Review Board. Supervisor Eric Ott and the Town of Livonia want to recognize William Kurtz as an exemplary citizen and community member. Supervisor Gott will now present Bill with this well-deserved award. Congratulations. Bill's also a great neighbor. He backs up to my house and I back up to his farm. So, Mount Morris is next. Mount Morris is pleased to present the Seniorama Award for 2021 to Gary Pasamonte. Gary is a lifelong resident of Livingston County. He's a graduate of Mount Morris Central School and St. John Fisher College. Not only did Gary go to school in Mount Morris, he also worked at Mount Morris for most of his life. He was a U.S. Postal Service clerk carrier in Mount Morris for 19 years, a supervisor in Dansville for 4 years, and postmaster for Mount Morris for 4 years. He retired in 2008. Gary's first wife, Linda, passed away in 2008. He's been married to his current wife, Myra, for 7 years. He has 6 children. In total, he has 20 grandchildren. Gary and Myra are members of the Celebrate Family Church. Like most of this year's honorees, Gary has a wide range of interests and volunteer service. He enjoys sports, especially baseball. He coached and umpired summer baseball in the 1990s and was the high school baseball coach for Mount Morris Central for 2 years. In 2017, Gary coordinated efforts to procure a monument honoring Mount Morris native baseball player Ross Barnes. The monument's located in the town's Pocket Park. In addition to sports, Gary has a keen interest in local history. He has been a member of the Mount Morris Historical Society for 20 years and the Genesee Valley Conservancy for 10 years. He is a historian of Mount Morris and a collector of historical items. He combines his love of sports and his love of history as a member of the Society for Baseball Research. Many of Gary's interests and hobbies involve the outdoors. An avid hiker, Gary completed a 1,250-mile hike of the Appalachian Trail in 2010 and summited Mount Ararat in Turkey in 2013. As a running enthusiast, he has completed in races locally, regionally, and nationally. Town Councilman Don Huff nominated Gary and accompanies him today. Congratulations, Gary. North Dansville is proud to present their Seniorama honoree for 2021 to Charles Keith Mitchell. Keith has been a Livingston County resident for 56 years. Keith graduated from Moravia Central School and then earned his bachelor's degree from SUNY Geneseo. He was married to his beautiful wife, Enid, for 47 years before he was unfortunately widowed. He has 2 children, 1 grandchild, and 2 great-grandchildren. Keith was a manager for Beneficial Corporation, a vice president for Atlanta National Bank, and then was the director of our own Livingston County Workforce Development Department and Youth Bureau for 22 years. Keith has always volunteered in many capacities for many organizations, often taking on leadership positions. Many of the organizations Keith has supported benefit children. He was a den leader and Cub Scout master for 4 years. He volunteered for the Dansville Little League for 27 years, serving as president, treasurer, safety officer, umpire, and manager. Keith was a board member and training chair for the Association of New York State Youth Bureaus and a 22-year member of the Finger Lakes Youth Bureau, serving as the chair for 21 years. Keith has also volunteered on behalf of families and communities. For 8 years, he served on the Partnership for Children and Families, and for 30 years, for the Genesee Valley Health Partnership. Keith shared his financial talents with both of these organizations as their treasurer. Of late, Keith has teamed up with the Office for the Aging to offer wellness programs for seniors. As a matter of balance coach, Keith helps participants learn strategies and behaviors to reduce the risk of falling and being injured from a fall. Keith saw the advertisement for Aging Mastery, a new program the Office for the Aging was piloting a few years ago, and called to offer his assistance. Since then, he has completed the program and become the primary trainer. His last 10-week Aging Mastery series took 9 months to complete. It started in February 2020, was interrupted by the pandemic, and finished in October. Keith has very interesting hobbies. He loves to travel. His last journey prior to COVID-19 was to tour China. In line with his interest in health and wellness, he recently completed yoga certification training. North Dansville salutes Keith and is proud to bestow upon him this well-deserved honor. Dennis Mayes was unable to join us today, so Lima Supervisor Mike Falk will present Keith with his honoree certificate. Next up, we have the town of Nunde. Town of Nunde is proud to recognize Doris Marsh as their honoree for this year. Doris has lived in the town her entire life. She is married with 3 sons, all married, all college graduates, all Eagle Scouts. It's one proud mom. 5 grandchildren and 2 step-grandchildren. Doris obtained a bachelor's degree in special education and elementary education and an education certification degree in special ed from SUNY Geneseo. She earned Master's of Science in School Administration degrees from SUNY Brockport. Doris was a special education elementary teacher and middle school, high school administrator at Keshequa Central School for 38 years. Doris began volunteering at age 10 and has never stopped. She was a leader for Scouts and 4-H, has been the Nunde Rotary Interact Advisor for 12 years. She's a former town and school board member. She's very active in the Nunde United Methodist Church as a council member, organist, and choir director. She volunteers with the Livingston County Office for the Aging Advisory Council, the Youth Bureau, and the Healthy Communities That Care Coalition, and has served on the Suicide Prevention Task Force. Doris has frequently been recognized for her leadership. She's an F of both organizations. She received 5 Paul Harris Rotary Awards and a Kiwanis Hickson Fellowship Award, each of which provided one state. Doris also received 2 Kiwanis Brittany Awards, totaling $500 to fight Lyme disease in New York State. Her Rotarian and Kiwana of the Year awards were leadership fundraisers for children in our area and raised $2,000 and $4,000 respectively. As a Rotary grant writer, she wrote 15 grants for nearly $40,000 to fund 25 beds for families who needed them, 4 iPads for the library, and books and calculators. She helped raise $16,000 for educational materials for youth to address the opioid crisis and create a volunteer knitting group that makes items for children. She received a Rotary Distinguished Service Award for spearheading efforts to make over 4,000 baby hats, which were distributed to Catholic charities in the Golisano Children's Hospital and Noyes Memorial Hospital. Recently, Doris has organized a senior group in Nunde as part of Be Well in Livingston. She teaches a matter of balance and Tai Chi for her peers. Doris was recognized by the New York State Office for the Aging as one of the older New Yorker honorees in 2018. You weren't one of the older ones. It's actually just called Older New Yorker, so don't. In her spare time, she makes quilts, reads, and loves to travel with her husband, Bob. There is not a group of people that she has not championed: children, teens, adults, seniors, veterans. Doris has donated time and talent to help them all. The town of Nunde honors Doris and thanks her for her many contributions to its quality of life, honoring Doris today and recognizing her as Town Supervisor Marilee Walker. Next up, we have the town of Ashen. The town of Ashen is proud to present the Seniorama honoree for 2021 to Don and Janine Wilson. Don and Janine have lived in the town for 49 years. Don was born and raised on the family farm in Ashen. His mother, Mary, was Ashen's Seniorama honoree in 1986. Janine was born in Warsaw. She lived for several years in Rochester, Minnesota, before returning with her family to New York State, where they lived in the Olean area. In 1965, Don graduated from Canaseraga Central School and enrolled at SUNY Geneseo. That same year, Janine graduated from Portville Central and also enrolled at Geneseo. Even though they were on the same campus for over 2 years, they did not meet until the fall of 1967. Don and Janine were married after graduation in 1969 and have 3 children and 10 grandchildren. Don and Janine then returned to his family farm, where he worked in partnership with his father and brother. Their farm produced corn, oats, and alfalfa to feed their 70 dairy cows and 600 sheep. In 1972, the Wilsons built their home at a pretty site on the farm and have been Ashen residents ever since. In 1990, Don left the farm and enrolled in the master's level school counselor program at Alfred University. In 1991, he was hired as a school counselor at Hornell High School, where he worked until retiring in 2012. Janine earned master's degrees from Geneseo in both science and English. She taught science at the Hornell Intermediate School for several years until their children Dan, Elizabeth, and Jean came along. Then for many years, she served as a substitute teacher at several area schools. Throughout their marriage, Janine and John have been active church members. Janine has been especially active serving as a Sunday school and vacation Bible school teacher. She's also an avid reader and very interested in nature. Even though Don and Janine are residents of the town of Ashen in Livingston County, their home is located in the Canaseraga School District. Don served as a member of the Canaseraga School Board for 27 years and was president of the board for 20 of those years. He was also active in baseball. From 1992 to 2003, Don was an umpire working as a member of the South Central Baseball Association. He coached Canaseraga's Babe Ruth baseball team for 19 years, and then for 11 years served as the JV softball coach at Hornell High School. In 2013, Don was elected to the position of Town Justice in Ashen. He finds the position interesting, yet challenging, as he's also the court clerk. Most importantly, it is an opportunity to serve the Ashen community. While the years have brought changes to Ashen, the Wilsons recognize that there are still plenty of pretty views to see, beautiful countryside to drive through, and friendly people to enjoy in their town. In turn, the town of Ashen residents feel fortunate to have Don and Janine as neighbors and friends. Recognizing the Wilsons today is Mr. Dwight Knapp, Ashen Town Supervisor. Next up, we have the town of Portage. The town of Portage proudly designates Birdie Parham as Seniorama honoree for 2021. Birdie is a lifelong Livingston County resident. She was married to her husband Albert for 41 years. She raised 9 children and has 38 grandchildren and 15 great-grandchildren. So Birdie gets the extra recognition today. Birdie's an extremely hard worker and has held several positions at several Livingston County businesses. Hers is a familiar face to many Nunday residents. She worked at Nunday Lubber for 29 years as a bookkeeper clerk and waited tables at Bill's Restaurant in Nunday for 20 years. She was also employed by Dalton Banking House Restaurant, Livingston County Skilled Nursing Facility, and Big M in Geneseo, as well as doing lots of part-time papering, painting, and cleaning jobs. Birdie is not one for sitting down and resting. When her son flew down to visit him in Florida, Birdie ended up cleaning his whole house. Birdie loves going to garage sales and antiquing. She's also looking to add to her collection of antique dishes. She also keeps busy watching her grandchildren, and that keeps her young at heart. The Dalton Methodist Church has been fortunate to have Birdie among its members. She taught Sunday school at the church for years. A typical Seniorama honoree, Birdie's not comfortable with recognition and prefers just to keep busy, quietly helping others. Supervisor Ivan Davis and the town of Portage would like to thank her for her lifetime of hard work and dedication to her family and neighbors. Next up, we have the town of Sparta. Glenn couldn't make it here today, so don't look around for someone here. Town of Sparta has chosen Glenn Cryley as Senior Citizen of the Year for 2021. Glenn is a lifelong resident of the town of Sparta and resides at 8153 Parker Hill Road in Sparta. He graduated from Dansville Central School. Glenn grew up on a dairy farm and worked on this farm until the industry changed to bulk loads when he was about 26 years old. He also worked as owner-operator of a trucking company hauling bulk commodities for farmers. He is now retired. Glenn is a member of the Scottsburg United Methodist Church and the Dansville Moose Club. He has served as a member of the Livingston County Transportation Safety Commission for 13 years and has been on the Sparta Town Board as councilman for the last 30 years. During this time, Glenn has seen many changes. Most of the changes require approval of the town board, including zoning laws, the start of cable television, and cell tower expansion. All of this was accomplished while keeping a balanced budget, something Glenn is very proud of. Glenn is married to Clara Cryley. They have celebrated 54 years of wedded bliss and have 2 daughters, 4 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Glenn's hobbies include spending time with his family, especially enjoying his great-grandchildren. He likes to be outside working in the yard or around the pond, campfires, and watching sports on television. Glenn is well known and respected in his community, and Sparta residents are proud to honor him this year. Glenn is not able to be with us today in person, but I'm told he's on the phone and will receive his certificate at a later date. Congratulations, Glenn.
Hi, Mr. Cryley. You're live at Seniorama here. I am good. Everybody's doing wonderfully. Mr. Coyle, County Administrator, wants to recognize you.
Oh. Congratulations, Glenn. Yes, it's a great honor. I read your biography already, so I'm not going to read it again. But great job. Well respected in the community, and everybody here sends their regards. Sorry you couldn't be here, but congratulations again. Thank you. Next up, we have the town of Springwater, and the town of Springwater Seniorama honoree for 2021 is Daryl Western. Daryl grew up in Malone, New York, the fourth of 5 children. He married Margaret Donovan in 1969, and the couple moved back to Margaret's hometown of Springwater in 1975 to the house where they still live today after several additions. Daryl and Margaret have been married for 51 years and have 3 daughters, 2 granddaughters, and 1 grandson. Daryl worked for Kodak for 32 years before retiring. After Kodak, Daryl worked for the Dansville School District in various capacities. He delivered cafeteria food to the separate schools, as well as to St. Mary's, and sorted and delivered school mail. He was a trusted employee who held the crucial job of transporting people's children to school and home again safely. He and his wife also helped parents by transporting their sick children from school. Margaret would care for them until their parents could pick them up. After retiring from Dansville, the school called him back to work part-time, handling the mail and painting most of the 3 schools. Daryl served 2 years in the U.S. Army and 14 years in the National Guard. His interests include genealogy and furniture making. He's active in his church and served on the church board for 14 years. He was one of the trustees who oversaw the building of the new church south of the hamlet of Springwater in 1989 and worked on the electric for the building, including the all-electric heating system. Daryl now serves as the incoming treasurer. He also served as an assistant assessor for the town and as a member of the county safety board. He mentored the Eagle Scout who built and erected the Welcome to Springwater signs. The town of Springwater proudly honors Daryl for all of his contributions over many years. Town Councilman Mark Hopkins, representing Supervisor Deb Babbitt-Hemry, will present Daryl with this certificate. Next up, we have the town of West Sparta. The West Sparta Seniorama honorees for 2021 are Thomas and Lori Pearson. Lori is a lifetime Livingston County resident, and Tom has resided in the county for 47 years. They have 4 children, 1 daughter nearby in Dansville, 2 sons in North Carolina, and 1 in Virginia. They have been blessed with 8 grandchildren. Lori's a graduate of Keshequa High School. She worked for several years at the Department of Motor Vehicles and then as the secretary to the administrator at the Livingston County Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation. Tom graduated from the University of Valparaiso in Indiana with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. He spent his career as an environmental engineer for the New York State Departments of Health and Environmental Conservation. He retired as a regional water engineer for Region 8, headquartered in Avon. Tom has been a firefighter for 52 years. He is a past Lima fire chief and West Sparta's current chief. He was a deputy county fire coordinator for Livingston County from 1977 to 2017. Lori's an elder with the First Presbyterian Church in Tuscarora and a member of the West Sparta Fire Department Certified First Responders. She enjoys riding horses, skiing, and assisting the West Sparta Fire Department, usually directing traffic. For all that the Pearsons have done and continue to do, The Town Council and residents of West Sparta are proud to honor them as West Sparta's Senior Citizens of the Year. Sue Erdel, Town Supervisor, will present them with their Certificate of Appreciation. Last but certainly not least, we have the Town of York. The York-Leicester Towners have selected Nancy Bishop as the 2021 Senior of the Year. Nancy and her husband Gerald have been married for 57 years. They have 2 daughters, 1 son, and 4 grandchildren. 1 daughter, 1 granddaughter, and a son-in-law are deceased due to an auto accident. Nancy, her parents, 2 sisters, and 2 brothers grew up in Caledonia. She graduated from Caledonia Mumford Central School in 1960. She worked full-time at Chloride Electro Networks in Caledonia for many years and worked part-time at the Retzoff Deli for 10 years. Nancy has been a member of the York Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary for 53 years, helping during fires and dinners. She is also an honorary member of the Caledonia Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary, helping with their many activities. For the past 6 years, Nancy has been a member of the York Golden Hands Craft Club, a group of ladies in the community who get together to work on crafts and enjoy being together. Nancy's a 60-year member of the York Baptist Church. She's been a deacon for 20 years and has chaired their chicken and biscuit dinners for 15 years. She helps several senior citizens in the community when they need it. She belongs to the York-Leicester Towners Senior Citizens Club and the Caledonia Senior Citizens Club. Her hobbies are camping, crocheting, doing crafts, reading, and outings with her families. Nancy especially likes helping her daughter, a special education teacher at the ARC of Livingston, Wyoming Kids Start program. She helps with the backpack program for York Central and does the backpacks for Kids Start. She received the Charles Elam Volunteer of the Year Award in 2017 from the ARC. Nancy volunteered helping the Caledonia Mumford Council of Churches monthly Food Link food distributions held at Jones Hall in Caledonia. The town of York appreciates the many ways Nancy contributes to its quality of life. And on behalf of York residents, Mr. Jerry Deming is here today to honor Nancy. Congratulations.
Wow. Let's give everybody, yourselves and everybody else, a big round of applause. That nearly concludes our program. I just want to thank everybody again for coming. Thank you to all of our guests who came to support our honorees. Thank you to Sandy Thompson, our pianist, Party Man for our lunches, Livingston County News, and our live stream sponsors, Ankle and Foot Center of Western New York. I think I need them soon. Livingston County Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation, Livingston County and the New York Connects program, and Stephen M. Kelly, Esquire. I would also like to say a special thanks to Vicki Flora, our proprietress today, for arranging for us to have this beautiful venue here at Willow Creek to have this event. I would like to close with a poem, and the author is unknown. I feel like the author could be any one of you, as you have put these words into action. It's called Why Be a Volunteer? It's not for money. It's not for fame. It's not for any personal gain. It's just for love of fellow man. It's just to send a helping hand. It's just to give a tithe of self. That's something you can't buy with wealth. It's not medals won with pride. It's for that feeling deep inside. It's that reward down in your heart. It's that feeling that you've been a part of helping others far and near that makes you be a volunteer. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I appreciate everybody's efforts to make this happen, and I salute all of our honorees. I feel like I've gotten to know you better than any other group because we've been together so long, and I wish everyone a wonderful weekend. Thank you again.